All right, everybody, welcome back to the Contrarians and Up the Irons. I have been looking forward to this show all week. One of the things I love about the Contrarians, if you follow this channel, you know it covers a lot of musical ground, but sometimes I just want to go over my favorite bands, and we are doing that tonight. This is a Patreon suggested topic. We love those. This one is the top 10 songs from Brave New World to Senjutsu. Or if you use the George W. Bush definition, the top 10 Iron Maiden songs of the 21st century. Little topical humor there from 2000. All right, so it's Iron freaking Maiden, so we don't need to go over the history too much, but there were 6 studio albums in the last 23 years. Of course, you had Brave New World, The Dance of Death, A Matter of Life and Death, Final Frontier with no logo on it, never understood that, The Book of Souls, and Senjutsu. Boy, that is really dark. That does not show up well on camera. They also put out 6 contemporary live albums to go with their 6 studio albums. So while they haven't been prolific in the studio, they have had a lot of recorded output in the last 23 years. Now, of course, Bruce Dickinson left the band after the Fear of the Dark tour in 1993, and then rejoined in 1999 along with Adrian Smith to promote the Ed Hunter video game of all things. But they recorded a new album in 2000, Brave New World. At the time, it was the second coming of traditional metal, because what was popular at the time was nu metal. Korn and Limp Bizkit were the biggest bands in metal at that time. Disturbed was big, and people just didn't know if there was a space for traditional heavy metal. So Iron Maiden had a lot to prove, and here they are still going 23 years later, arguably bigger than ever, and for my money, still the best ticket in live music. They put on an amazing show. So we're going to go through, every panelist is going to give their top 10 albums in order from least to greatest.
Songs.
And I hope...
songs.
Songs, yes. Did I say albums?
Yes.
Good grief.
Yes.
I'm old, people. Give me a break. Let us start with Kevin tonight. Kevin, give us your top 10 21st century almost Maiden songs.
All right. Thanks for having me tonight. This is an interesting topic to me because this is where I came into Iron Maiden. The first album, I sort of knew the hits from the classic era, the 80s. But the first album I actually purchased was The Final Frontier. And you'll see I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for that one as I go through my list. So I'm just going to jump right in since we have 10 songs to talk about each. Number 10 is Mother of Mercy from Final Frontier. It's kind of a nice builder with a plodding gallop, and it's got these vivid war and battle lyrics. But it's a little shorter than some of the other songs as they got later into the reunion era of the band. Number 9, I've got The Talisman, also from the Final Frontier. I like the dynamics between the slow acoustic intro and then the up-tempo verses, and then that patented Maiden gallop comes in kind of halfway through the song, and it's real upbeat. So I like that. Number 8, I have The Nomad from Brave New World. To me, that sounds like a straight metal song. I don't even initially recognize it as a Maiden song. It just sounds like straight ahead metal. And it's got some really almost nasty sounding guitar solos in it that I really like. Number 7, The Writing on the Wall from the last album, Senjutsu. Sounds like a complete outlier in this whole modern era of Maiden, but I like it. I'd actually take a whole album of these if they would do it. Experimental, which I think is kind of lacking in as they get further on in their career. They seem to kind of just go back to muscle memory at times. But I like that it sounds nothing like anything else in the catalog. Number 6 is Passchendaele from Dance of Death. This is the prototypical Iron Maiden history lesson in a song. And I think it's one of their better ones. Real kind of interesting intro, and then quickly a quick outro with that little guitar lick. So yeah, that's number 6. Number 5 is El Dorado from The Final Frontier. I think Bruce's vocals sound great on this song, and in fact, the whole album. I like the guitar tone on this song. It almost sounds slightly fuzzy, distorted. And it's got a nice up-tempo gallop in it. Number 4 is Speed of Light from the Book of Souls. Almost sounds Deep Purple-ish to me, just in the way it starts, and that scream from Bruce. I like the up-tempo nature right after the epic intro song to that album, If Eternity Should Fail. It's kind of a perfect complement. Sits nicely in the running order of the album. And I like that you can tell this is a Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Harris song. It really sounds like it. It doesn't have a lot of those Harris-isms, as I like to call it, the slow intro, slow outro, and the, solo bass or bass solo. Number 3, I've got, I wrote down ... The Final Frontier, because I don't really care for that intro of that song, but I do love this opening song to The Final Frontier. I like the start-stop kind of verse riff. I think, again, Bruce's vocals sound great, and he's got a nice contrast between the verse vocals and the chorus. One is kind of dirty and one clean. And again, the soloing sounds very energetic on that song to me. Number 2 is If Eternity Should Fail from Book of Souls, the opener. I think that's the best opener of all their reunion era albums. It's dramatic. I like it. Almost has a groove during the verse that you can kind of bob your head to. And again, Bruce's vocals and on the chorus are really great. I really like the phrasing on that. And number 1, I have Dream of Mirrors from Brave New World. It's a dramatic, slow builder. I love the chorus on it. It doesn't overly repeat itself like some of these songs tend to do from Iron Maiden. I like the arrangement. It really produces dynamics in the song. There's a lot of tempo changes. Picks up 2/3 of the way through and then comes back into that chorus nicely. So that's my list.
Okay, fantastic. Spoiler alert, expect to hear more about some of these songs as we go through the panel. Interesting that you end with a song that is full of Steve Harris-isms.
I know. That surprised me too, but it's got enough variety in it for me. So,
hey, I'll allow it. I'm not the taste police. All right, Butch, let's see what you've got for top 10 almost 21st century Iron Maiden songs.
All right. Well, first of all, I actually misunderstood the topic, and when it said post Brave New World,
Me too.
originally hadn't included anything, but I just made some changes on the fly, and actually I just made another switch up. So I don't have any visuals for the Brave New World, but that doesn't matter anyway. But let's start at number 10. I actually just swapped. I was down to 2 songs from this album, and for me it was down to it's from Dance to Death. It was either Passchendaele or Journeyman, and honestly, I'm gonna go Journeyman, and it's so different for Iron Maiden. It's the only all acoustic song that they did. I love Bruce's voice on it. I like the vibe of the song. It's probably one of the rare times that I'd like something a little bit off kilter by Maiden. I haven't liked particularly like some of the more ballady kind of stuff over the years, but this song, I don't know, just really hits me in the right place. I mean, I do love Passchendaele, but when it comes to this record, I think I just slightly edge it out with Journeyman from that one. And then going to number 9, we have Death or Glory from Book of Souls, a song about the triplanes of World War I, another great flying in the sky, shoot 'em up, about the Red Baron. I always thought it was interesting that those lyrics, turn like the devil, shoot straight from the sun, climb like a monkey out of hell where I belong. When I first heard the lyrics, I was like, what what's with that? And then I, found out that was a quote from the Baron. So it put it in context for me, and it's a fun song live. Bruce doing this whole thing, and it's just a good up tempo, shorter, like more of an old school kind of like Maiden stomper. Really like that song. So number 8, this is where I went into Brave New World. I see this song get a little bit of flack from it. It's been in the set list a lot. It's one of those repetitious kind of ones, and I'm going with Blood Brothers. I just like it. I mean, it just feels good. I mean, when I saw them live on the Final Frontier tour and they played it, it's just like one of those, like I said, I mean, I just like the vibe of it, man. I just like there's like a closeness or something like, and maybe want to like put my arms around all my band members that I was at the show with and sing along. And it's just a good sing along type of song, a great, like, kind of powerful, like that kind of thing. So let's see, we're going to number 7, and I'm going to the much maligned Senjutsu album. And I love the Harris tracks on this. I love this record. I love Book of Souls too. For me, these are the best records I've done since the 80s. So for me, I went with the Parchment, longest song on the record. The long songs on this record, I really like. I like the scope of them, the epic kind of vibe, the instrumentation. They just feel big. They're majestic. So I don't know. I mean, it just, I can listen to those 3 long ones right in a row, like no problem. Like this record goes fast for me, believe it or not. I know a lot of people think it's tedium, but I love the record and I love that song. Moving along, going back to Book of Souls, I have If Eternity Should Fail. I love the song intro to it. I think it's really cool. It's kind of a different thing, which it makes sense when you learn that it was initially intended for Bruce Dickinson's solo record, so it's a little bit out of the box from what maybe Maiden would have done. But I love it too in the middle of the song, like with that midsection when it kicks up the tempo. I really love. I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. So that's number 6 for me. And then, we're staying with this record. The Red and the Black from this one. It's got everything I like about Maiden in that song. The harmony guitars, and I love the vocal lines. It's got the sing along kind of like bridge piece. I just like the way the song feels. It's in my wheelhouse. It's big, it's epic sounding, it's battle worthy, kind of Maiden track. Let's see, and then to the Final Frontier. I initially had the Isle of Avalon on my list, but my favorite song from this record has always been When the Wild Wind Blows. I really like the story behind it. It's kind of neat. Just I know it's based on a graphic novel. The idea behind it that this old couple is in their bomb shelter. They feel like the remnants of an earthquake and think the end has come, and they die together. And then it turns out that it wasn't a nuclear attack. It's a really cool, it's a cool, like, sad kind of story, fitting for the kind of song that it is. One great Steve Harris, story song for me. Then again, same as with the Parchment. Like, I think Hell on Earth is one of the best songs this band has done in a long time. That kind of like bridge part, that the melody there, that love and anger, life and danger, like, it's just when that comes up in the song, it's just unbelievable, for me. I just it gives me chills, that melody. Overall, I just love the song. I like, the whole vibe of it. Again, majestic, it's epic, it's melodic in the right places. It does what I want to hear out of, like, when Maiden does something big. I don't feel like it's too repetitive. I feel like for as long as these songs are on here, that it's not like that. They're not as stuck in that Brave New World, repeat the chorus thousands of times kind of thing. Let's see. Number 2 is from this bad boy. And it is For the Greater Good of God. And this one really, like, when he comes up to the pre-chorus and Bruce is singing, please tell me now what life is, please tell me now what love is, like, that melody there, like, is one of the most brilliant things in the catalog. It just, that shift from the verse into that is amazing. Like, I love that vocal melody. It almost by itself makes the song for me, like, honest to God. But I just love the way this whole song feels. The lyrically, it's cool. I like that they occasionally, like, get out of the box of history, or this is more looking at the world kind of thing. So great song for me, and great live, tremendous live song. The last one for me, number 1 from this record, and from the moment I heard it, it went into my top 10 Iron Maiden songs of all time, and that's Empire of the Clouds. Longest song in their catalog, and maybe Dickinson wrote this himself, and he out-Harrised Harris in terms of, like, writing an epic that keeps your attention. And it's the fastest moving 18 minutes ever. Like, I could listen to that song and feel like it's over like that. It's just the way that it moves through the different pieces of the song and builds as it goes. I mean, it's incredible. Like, the orchestration in it's great. From the piano at the beginning all the way through, it's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. It's a shame that it's not a song that they would ever play live. I think it'd be phenomenal if they ever did something with an orchestra and play the song live, because I think it's just incredible. And like I said, top 10 Maiden track for me. I just love everything about that song, and I want everyone else to love that song as much as I do. So that's my top 10. Some of the ones I booted off, I would have had Wicker Man and Flight of the Navigator if I had more space.
Yeah, I feel you. So I would love to see Bruce Dickinson playing piano on stage. I think that's why they would never consider that live. But
yeah, I don't think he even said he's not a great piano player, but it'd be interesting to see what they would do with it.
2 panelists so far, 2 very different points of view on the catalog. That's why you gotta love being a fan with a catalog, or of a band with the catalog this big. Martin, let's go to you next.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this really drives home the point. So I don't think I have a single song that overlaps with Butch's, and I think I might have 2 that overlaps with Kevin's. So wow. So this is pretty crazy. So I'm going to start with Starblind from Final Frontier 2010. 748, it's I love the rhythm. I love the hiccup beat on it. It's got good soulful chord changes. It's got a modulation in it. Bruce has to sing really high on it. It's got a chorus that's kind of the same as the verse. It's just really strong chords, strong riffs. I love the break you get in it as well. Number 9, I went with Lord of Light from Matter of Life and Death. Same sort of length, 724. Not crazy about the 1.5-minute intro, but it's got a heroic kind of mid-pace, just a good kind of chunky Maiden vibe. Bruce has to sing high again on this one as well. So yeah, spoiler alert, out of my 10, I've got 6 Adrian Smith compositions on here, which is kind of interesting. That one was Smith Harris Dickinson. First one was Smith Harris Dickinson. Next, I'm going with Days of Future Past from Senjutsu. I just find this one I love the chords on it. The speed, it's got speed, but then it's got a halftime groove to it as well. I almost went with Time Machine also. I was comparing these two actually off of this album, which that's probably the most weirdest atmospheric, but that was my number 11. So let's see, where are we here? 7, I went with The Alchemist from Final Frontier. Up tempo, fiery. This is a Yannick Gers one, right? No nonsense, kind of the same speed all throughout, sort of thing. Number 6, I went with The Pilgrim from Matter of Life and Death. There's a lot of Matter of Life and Death on mine, actually, and Book of Souls and Final Frontier, actually. So what was I saying? The Pilgrim. What are we up to? 6. Up tempo, melodic, combative, basic, again, sort of thing. This is another Gers, so I've got 2 Gers in a row. It's got the 1 and 3 beat on the chorus, which is kind of cool. I like when they add that urgency to these things. 5, I went with Coming Home. I love this is probably my favorite, ballad type one from them. I love the Blood Brothers explanation. This is kind of a Blood Brothers-y sort of song as well, I think. Just love the melody on it. The melody actually reminds me of Starblind. It's got kind of the same sort of melody to it, but just really soulful. The mellow verses, the intro is very catchy on it as well. Let's see. So up to 4, I think. Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, another Smith Harris Dickinson, another Matter of Life and Death. 846, it's the longest one on my list and doesn't feel long to me at all. I love the parts. They all fit together great. They all sound worthy and interesting to be there, sort of thing. Love the sort of chunky Egypto riff. It's got a weird riff and kind of complicated tribal drumming, odd time signature as well. Very melodic chorus. Bruce's performance on it's amazing. I think we can say that about most of these songs, but I love the ones where he really has to push air and he sounds like he's on the edge of his seat, sort of thing, right? And then I think my last 3 were all advanced singles, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but El Dorado, spelt weird with the El Dorado, right? I always think of it as one word. I don't know, maybe that's wrong too, but Final Frontier, again, 2010. Chugging, this is the one about the financial crisis, right? Just a good, heavy, it's got a nice pre-chorus on it as well. Great groove to it. Gallopy, it's kind of priesty to me. Another Smith Harris Dickinson. Number 2, Reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg. Love that riff. That is just a crushing, cool, very smart, sophisticated riff for these guys. I find it to be one of their more interesting one. It's kind of sober and somber and resolute sort of song. I think they picked the perfect tempo to do this song and to do that riff. So I really like it like that. And yeah, this was definitely an advanced single. And number 1, I went with Speed of Light, Book of Souls. Nico on the bell cymbal ride thing that he does all the time. That's here. This reminds me of just like really fiery, Bruce riding with the angel, Samson kind of sound. It's just a good, I like the Purple mention as well. But yeah, very, very new wave of British heavy metal. It's 5 minutes long. It's Smith Dickinson again. A lot of energy, raised energy to the chorus. And just a good heavy one. So actually my last, Benjamin Brigg isn't a typical advanced single for them. But I think all 3 of these were advanced singles, right? And I don't think anything else on my list was an advanced single. But and so as honorable mentions, I had Time Machine, These Colors Don't Run from Matter of Life and Death, and Age of Innocence from Dance of Death, and Nothing from Brave New World. So there you go.
Okay, very good. I do think that Coming Home is Bruce's most sincere vocal performance, singing about his love of aviation. You really have to give him props for that. And who can make commercial aviation not boring? Bruce Dickinson is the answer. All right, Brendan, 10 songs, sir. What have you got?
All right, Rookie Mistake. Much like Butch, I took it as post Brave New World. I didn't include anything on Brave New World. I figured you guys would cover all the highlights of that album anyway. So anyways, I'm bringing a different perspective to this, not including their most popular album from this period, which is Brave New World. So real quick, I'm the one who suggested this topic, and I did so for a particular reason. I think there's a lot of people, much like myself, who got off the Maiden train in the mid 90s. I grew up with this band. They still are one of my favorite bands of all time. But I had a huge love affair with this band, fell in love with them at an early age. And in the 90s, much like many other people, I was into different things. There's a lot of things going on with this band that made me jump off the train. The No Prayer for the Dying and Fear of the Dark, I wasn't a big fan of those albums. Then Bruce left. We don't need to go into the Blaze Bailey years, where that's been beaten to death. But by the time Bruce came back, I was on to different things. And I didn't really come back to metal, or especially Iron Maiden, until the last, I would say, 10 years. And I think there's a lot of people like me who just couldn't be bothered with anything new from legacy bands. I looked at it, and I think there was, like, in passing, I said, oh, Bruce Dickinson's back in Iron Maiden. Cool. And then, maybe 5-10 years ago, I looked back and there was, like, all these albums that they had released that I'd never heard. And it was like a treasure trove of new songs that I'd never heard. It's like rediscovering this band all over again. So we're here for a good time, not a long time. So I'm going to get into it. Hopefully this show will take care of that and introduce people to a new era of Iron Maiden where there is a lot of good stuff. There's some stuff that's questionable, but there's a lot of good tracks in here. So number 10, I'm going to go from The Final Frontier. This album is probably the album that I have the least amount of connection with. A lot of the songs for me didn't have that identity that I think a lot of their earlier tracks had, and a lot of the songs from Brave New World and Dance of Death have that identity. I guess that's the best way I can put it. A lot of the songs on this album kind of bleed together for me. But one song that's kind of a deep track that I really like that Kevin mentioned was The Talisman. Bruce Dickinson is a great frontman. He's charismatic, and he's the voice of Iron Maiden. But one thing he's really, really good at is telling a story. He's a storyteller, and this song tells a story. It's a theme that they've gone back to numerous times: navigation and weathering the storm, whether that's literal or metaphorical. But I love it. Like Kevin said, it's got that classic Maiden gallop. It's got a lot of time changes. It's got that slow build that they've become so accustomed to doing with these albums. Slow build, then into the fast. It's almost like the music is telling the story of the waves crashing against this boat that's going to try to find the new land. It's great. I think it's a fantastic album. It's a longer one. It's like 8.5 minutes, but for me, it goes by pretty quick because I really like that. Number 9, I'm going to go with the title track to the album, Dance of Death. The first time I heard this song was actually live in concert. And when I heard it, the studio version of it, I kind of chuckled to myself thinking of Bruce Dickinson walking through the Everglades. I don't know why that would ever happen. I'm not sure why Bruce Dickinson would ever be walking through the Everglades and come across a cult, but cheesiness aside, I think this song is great. And when I heard it live for the first time, I thought it was kind of an instant classic. It's got a lot of cool minstrelly guitar things going on with it, and it gives you definitely that cult vibe. I love the Dance of Death. The next song is going to be a real deep cut from A Matter of Life and Death that I've never heard anybody really talk about. It never ranks very high when you look at the rankings online or anything. But I think this song, when I heard this album, I didn't really know anything about any of the releases that they had from it. I just kind of heard the album straight through. I loved the rough production of this album. I love how heavy it is. And the song Out of the Shadows, this song really stood out for me. I think it's because it's just such a straightforward rock and roll song. It's got a pounding riff to it. It's got some great drumming by Nico. And they did this really cool thing with the lead guitar where it kind of echoes what's going on with the actual rhythm guitar. And it's got this soaring chorus, which I think is just made for arenas. I don't know. Nobody ever talks about that song, but I love that song. Where are we at? That's number 8. Number 7, we are going to go with a song from the Book of Souls. It's The Red and the Black. If this song was cut by about 4 minutes, this song would probably be my number 1 song. I think that not only number one song from this era, this might be one of my favorite songs they ever wrote. This is a complete banger of a song. The chorus, the verses, everything about it is just absolutely ripping. I love it. But it goes on way too long, in my opinion. Like a lot of this, that's the biggest criticism of this band recently, and there's some truth to that, I think. Some of these albums could be cut by a couple songs. Some of these songs would be cut by a couple minutes, and I don't think anybody would be too upset about that. So that was number 7. Number 6, let's go with, am I out of order here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, number 4. Sorry. The Writing on the Wall. This was the first release from the most recent album, Senjutsu. I think it's a great song. I love that guitar riff. I love the chorus. Bruce is singing with such passion. It's meant, again, another song that's just meant for arenas. And one of the biggest criticisms of the song that I see, and there's no band other than Metallica that gets more criticism than this band, and more, just under so much scrutiny. They're almost under a microscope. But every note, every word, every lyric, every chord is just scrutinized. And one of the funny criticisms I heard about the Writing on the Wall is, this is Iron Maiden's Bon Jovi song. I was like, other than the 20-second Western style acoustic intro, what about this song sounds like Bon Jovi? Nothing. The answer is nothing. It's a great song. It's for me, it's the best thing that they've released in the last 30 years. It's the best single that they've released in the last 30 years. I think it's a total banger. In fact, this is the song, I think, if people jumped off the bandwagon and want to get back and listen to a more approachable Maiden song from their most recent catalog, I think this is a great jumping on point. Like this will ease you into all the new material, I think. Number 3 is I'm a sucker for a title track, a great title track. I think that maybe it's old-fashioned of me to think this, but I think that if you think enough about a theme or a song to name your album after it, I think that the intent of the song should be one of the best songs on the album. I'm also a sucker for a kick-ass opening track. The next song is Senjutsu, the title track and the opening track for the most recent album, Senjutsu. This song is so killer. Maiden has this way of putting you into a place of what they're singing in. Bruce doesn't even have to sing a word, and with their music, they can put you into the actual event, like a score of a movie. It sets the tone for a song, and they do this so well with this song. This song puts you on a battlefield in Asia. I don't know how they do that, but they did that. And with the tribal drums that Nico has, that start out the song into that menacing guitar riff, and when Bruce comes in, it's just so vicious and fierce, and he goes into that soaring chorus. Oh, I just absolutely, when I got this album, I played that song on repeat for like 5 times in a row. It was fantastic. The next song is another opening track. My list is full of opening tracks and title tracks, and this one is from The Final Frontier, Satellite 15, The Final Frontier. I love that crazy drum beat opening. I think that's the Nico show. Again, it puts you in the place somehow. With that drum opening and this crazy distorted frantic guitars that come in that lead right into the main song, it almost puts you, for me, I just think of Alien, the movie Alien, and I'm like on the spaceship, I'm expecting Sigourney Weaver to pop out of nowhere. But that's a great song. It's just a driving opening track that really puts you in the mood for the song, for the whole album. That album, like I said, kind of tapers off after that, but I love that opening track. And number 1 for me is from Dance of Death. It's Passchendaele. It is about the Third Battle of Ypres in World War I, the Allies fighting the German Empire, and it is, Maiden knows how to do a war epic. They know like nobody else, and this is no different. This is one of the heaviest songs they've ever recorded. It's just so kick-ass. It's so driving. It's just so menacing. He's just pouring his heart and soul into those vocals, trying to relay to us how much blood and how much tragedy was left out onto that battlefield. And it's just so awesome. You can totally hear it in the recording of that song. So number 1 is going to be Passchendaele for me.
All right. Very good.
Wow. Getting so much variety, eh?
Yeah.
Let's see what Reed's got. Reed, is there anything left?
There is. So I'm going to draw some ire, but that's my job on this channel, right? But first, I'm going to leave just a little bit of space. We have a contrarian panelist who couldn't make it. But in this era of remote work, we decided to let him send in a remote panel entry. So I'm going to leave just a little space here so Marco can edit it in.
Hello everyone. So picking my 10 favorite songs from the Reunion era was tougher than expected. I'm a huge fan of the Reunion era. I really dig the albums that they made, Brave New World and after. I still think that the classic era, so from Iron Maiden to Seventh Son, I still prefer the so-called classic era, but I always believe that the Reunion albums are pretty solid. So picking 10 songs, it's quite tough because there are so many cool songs, from this period. Number 10, I'm going with The Legacy from Matter of Life and Death. This is an epic song, such a bombastic song. The three guitarists are really on fire on that one. Steve was as well as usual, and something that I believe for the Matter of Life and Death album as a whole. Bruce's vocal is amazing. Very epic, very dark song. So number 10, The Legacy from A Matter of Life and Death. Number 9, I'm going with The Talisman from The Final Frontier. So I really love this song. I think this song has the chorus, one of the strongest chorus of the whole discography of Iron Maiden, and honestly I think I'm not exaggerating here. My only criticism is that it's a bit too long. In order to listen to this amazing chorus, you have to wait for 5 minutes, but otherwise, it's a very, very solid and very strong song. The live album version from En Vivo, I prefer the live version from En Vivo. That's a bit faster. So yeah, number 9, Talisman from The Final Frontier. Number 8, I'm going with If Eternity Should Fail from The Book of Souls. This is an amazing song, a very strong song, amazing guitars once more. The solo of Smith, it's amazing. It has a very catchy chorus, and it was a great opener for the tour of The Book of Souls. The only thing, I'm not a huge fan of the outro of the poem that Bruce is saying at the end, but still it's a very, very solid song. Number 7, I'm going with The Parchment from the Senjutsu album, the latest one. This is again a quite long song, Steve Harris composition. It's an amazing, mesmerizing song that builds up and keeps on building until the crescendo at the end, where the delivery from the whole band, from Nico to the guitarist, from Harris, Bruce. It's an amazing song that gets better and better. I really hope that we're going to see that live in the forthcoming tour. So number 7, The Parchment. Number 6, I'm going with Dance of Death from Dance of Death album. The album with the horrible album cover, but still pretty solid album. So this is a quite different song. It's not a typical Iron Maiden song. It's a bit more folky, but still it's very atmospheric. The guitars are amazing. Bruce again, it's really, Bruce's vocals are really epic, and it's amazing in its live version. So Dance of Death from Dance of Death. Number 5, I'm going with The Nomad from Brave New World. This is again a very solid song, one of the so-called epics from Iron Maiden. But the mid section of the song with the solos, when it slows a bit down, it's so atmospheric, it's mesmerizing again. It sounds a bit like The Parchment. Like The Parchment is a Nomad number 2, and it was one of my favorite songs from the Brave New World album when this one was out. So yeah, The Nomad from Brave New World. So number 4, again from Brave New World, the song The Wicker Man. So I remember this was the first single, the first piece of music that we got from the band after Bruce was out, and no one was disappointed. A solid rocker, a very nice up-tempo song that has a very, very nice delivery in the live versions. Was lucky to having seen that live twice, and it brings up only good memories. So yeah, number 4, The Wicker Man from Brave New World. So here it starts being a bit tricky because the 3 songs that I'm going to mention next, I really love the 3 of them. I think that the three of them can compete with the epics from their classic era. So it wasn't hard for me to pick these three, but it's quite hard to put them in an order. But still, this can change any given day. But yeah, for my number three, I'm going with with Passendale from a Dance of Death album. This is an epic song. The guitars again are amazing. The lyrics are very, very, very strong. You know, they describe the terror of the war, of the First World War, and the Battle of Passendale. And Bruce, he's so epic. The music changes so many times. This is an absolute banger, and I really, really love this song. My number two, I'm going with the self-titled song from Brave New World. Brave New World. This was one of the first songs, and then at the time where I realized, they have three guitar players, and I've heard and I really loved the sound of the three guitars together. It's again a very catchy song, a very nice chorus. The live versions are totally amazing, and this is in my opinion one of the strongest songs of their discography. So number two, Brave New World from Brave New World. And my number one is the last song from the latest album, so it's Hell on Earth from Senjutsu. I really hope that Iron Maiden will continue putting out some new music. I really hope that they will have new albums, because I think I really believe that they have a huge contribution. But if Hell on Earth is the last song from their last album, if Senjutsu happens to be their last album, I think that's a very nice way to finish, to complete this amazing discography. So Hell on Earth, it's my favorite song from the reunion era. It's one of my absolute favorite songs from the whole Iron Maiden discography. It's a very strong song. The guitars are very solid. The lyrics, they're very, very, very serious without being cheesy. And Bruce, cannot have no words for Bruce's delivery. So number one, Hell on Earth from the Senjutsu album.
That was Simos's top 10. I can't wait to watch this video and see what that was. All right, so my point of view on many of these things is going to be similar to Brendan's, but of course a little bit different. For my money, Iron Maiden is the cinematic metal band. They are the band that produces the movies in your mind. And Bruce Dickinson is the most thespian singer in heavy metal. Bruce produces characters with his voice. And then on stage, he actually acts them out. And I think it's that combination of things which makes them so interesting live. And that's going to come up over and over again as I go through my list. So I think for the third time between the five of us, I'm going to start off with Satellite 15, The Final Frontier. Now, when I first got The Final Frontier, I hated that opening. But you know what? It has grown on me very specifically because it is something different. It opens with noise and special effects. What other Iron Maiden song anywhere in the catalog opens with noise and special effects? And as a guitar player, I love noise and special effects. And I went from skipping that to like, man, this is pretty cool. And it sets the stage. The only quibble I have with it is that I think when the song gets going, it feels ever so slightly disconnected from the rest of that opening. You can tell that they just glued them together. They don't really go together, but it's a kick-ass song with a very interesting opening to it. Just like Kevin, I love the space in the riff because that's not typical of the faster Iron Maiden songs. They've got three guitar players. They got to do something, plus Steve Harris going constantly, but they have that riff that it's chopped up and leaves space in it. Very different. Number 9, this song used to be much higher, but now it's number 9 for me, and that is The Wicker Man. So again, in 2000, nobody really knew what to expect from an Iron Maiden album, and a lot of pundits were like, we don't need Iron Maiden, we've got Korn. Think about that for a bit. Nothing against Korn. They're just not my band. So they needed to come out of the gate swinging. And in my opinion, they do. They hit that first song out of the ballpark. It's got a fantastic riff. Bruce is singing his ass off. You can quibble if you want about the whoa chorus at the end, but I've been in Maiden concerts since this album came out many, many times, and the audience goes freaking nuts for it. So that's just a great track, The Wicker Man. Now, number 8, also a song that appears here a lot in this list. I'm throwing The Writing on the Wall from Senjutsu. People were like, oh, it's Iron Maiden's Southern rock song. I was like, I don't know that I see that. Spaghetti Western I'll buy, but I don't know about Southern rock, but just a fantastic combination of sound and lyric. Also, as the advanced single, it was our first indication of what post-throat cancer Bruce Dickinson was going to sound like. You know, major props for the guy going through throat cancer treatment, losing a golf ball sized piece of his tongue and still being able to sing professionally. There was no way you were going to go through that and sound the same, but he still sounds good. He still has range. He still has dynamics. He's just no longer quite the same tonally, but he still kicks butt. So I'm on board with that. My next 2 are going to be a little controversial because I think these songs get some abuse on the internet, but my next is Out of the Silent Planet on Brave New World. So it's just a straight up high energy rocker. It's got a great riff, great soloing, top-notch singing, and it's got something which shows up several times on my list. They do a harmony line, not just harmonized guitars, but where Bruce is singing harmony along with the guitar, actually singing in unison along with the guitar. And that is a sound I love. I just never get tired of that. So that makes a welcome appearance on this song for me. And then we go right into the thin line between love and hate. I love this song. You know, with Bruce, Maiden had been ending their albums with long sci-fi or historical epics, but instead they come in with a song that is about life and about emotion. It's very complicated. It has a lot of parts to it. It's a lot more Hallowed Be Thy Name than Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, right? It's got not just slow introduction. I know this is people who like to reduce Iron Maiden are like, oh, they always have the slow introduction and I hate that, or oh, they have the constant repetition, or oh, they have the whoa chorus. And all of those things are true, but they're not constantly true. Iron Maiden has lots and lots of parts. And people tend to pick out the things they don't like and say that this represents everything they do. Well, that's not true. And it's not true on this song either. But Bruce does have a lot of parts that he sings very low and sweet, and again in harmony with the guitar. And I just think that is absolutely fantastic. And I love the way it ends the album. Moving on to another usual suspect on this channel, or excuse me, on this panel, El Dorado. I freaking love this song. To me, it is Thin Lizzy combined with Judas Priest. I think that Adrian Smith intended it to be the opening song on Final Frontier. It has that feel of an Adrian Smith opening song, but it is just vicious. Now, of course, the economy hasn't been great for a long time for a lot of people. And there was a lot of especially bad economic things going on at the time. And Bruce just lights into them with his lyric. And again, he's singing that character. He's playing the bad guy and just loving it. And interestingly, in this song, the vocal pattern for the verses, he is singing it in harmony, but not like a third or a fifth. I haven't measured it as a fourth or a sixth, but it's a really unusual harmony for a vocal part, right? So it sounds just a little bit dissonant. And then you hit the chorus and he switches into a standard singing mode. So you get a difference between the verse and the chorus. And they don't do that in any other song. So it provides extra interest. Moving into my top 4, any one of these songs I could probably write a thesis on, but I'm going with my favorite Yannick Gers song of all time, Montségur. So I don't think Yannick gets the respect that he deserves as a songwriter. He has written a lot of the 21st Century Maiden tracks. This one has a lot of Maiden-isms, a little bit different from Harris-isms. He's got harmony guitar parts. He has this particular Deep Purple derived guitar melody line that he puts in most of his songs, as if to say, hey, look, guys, I can write an Iron Maiden song, you know? So cut me some slack here. I love that the song is made up of a bunch of different parts that don't sound like they go together. More than that, they don't actually sound like they're going at the same time. They're going slightly off kilter, and yet somehow when you get to the chorus, they match up and everything goes through the chorus. And at the end of the song, there are like 4 different parts layered over and over and over as he's going through in the gates and the walls of Montségur. And yet somehow, again, it all matches up and works. I think compositionally, it's fantastic. And again, you've got a history lesson, an incident that probably 99.9% of North America has no idea even exists. The Abyssinian Crusade, the destruction of the Cathar heresy by the Catholic Church. That's the Catholic's term for it. And I don't know if the Cathars were heretics or not. It's the origin of the phrase, kill them all and let God sort them out, which Bruce more properly translates as God will know his own. That's where that comes from. An incident where the Templars are getting ready to massacre a bunch of people, and they say, well, how can we tell the good Catholics from the Cathars? And their papal legate says, kill everybody, God will know his own. Fun. History is fun, isn't it? All right. So moving into number 3, I'm also going with Senjutsu. I freaking love this song. I love everything about this song. I love the mood this song establishes. I love the fact that after years and years and years of starting with the fastest song on the album, they come in with a mid-tempo song that sets mood and theme instead of tempo. I love Bruce's vocal. I love the pan-Asian feel to it. It's not really Japanese. It's not really Chinese. It's just kind of, well, pan-Asian, right? I love the pseudo taiko war drumming. It's just a fantastic song, and I think it needs more love. Then my final 2. So for those of you that think, oh man, sorry, a little bit of a brain fart here. Which album had Rime and the Ancient Mariner on it?
Power Slave.
Power Slave, doggone. Sorry about that. Yeah, for those of you that think that Power Slave was the best Iron Maiden album, I think the song Ghost of the Navigator would have been the best song on Power Slave. It's complicated. It has a lot of parts to it. Again, it's just, I mean, Bruce sings so well on all of these songs, you can just take for granted that it has a fantastic vocal line. It's not buried in repetition. It doesn't have a whoa-oh chorus. And I would listen to this 100 times before I listen to Rime and the Ancient Mariner another time. It is a nearly perfect Iron Maiden song for me, but it is just edged out by my number 1, which has already been mentioned by other people who put it low enough that it stabbed me in the heart a little bit, but I forgive you guys. And that is Passchendaele. For me, Passchendaele is the perfect Iron Maiden song. It is the apotheosis of their prog metal epics. And yet it comes in at under 9 minutes. I counted up while I was preparing for this show, there are 16 individual guitar motifs in this song. Some of them are repeated multiple times. There are 16 individual motifs. That compositionally is astounding that he makes all of that work. And then on top of that, you've again got Bruce playing a character, and not just a character that goes through multiple moods, from despair laying in his blood-filled trench to horror going over the wall. Ugh, gives me chills. And I'm not going to do honorable mentions because I think 10 is enough from any of us. So there we go.
Man. Very nice.
That is 10 songs from everybody. Notice we have a lot of perspectives. Clearly this catalog, if you have not examined their 2000 and beyond catalog, give it another look. There's some great songs in there. Martin is the only official Contrarian. You should have the last word. Anything you want to say?
I'm just amazed. I think we've almost named every song on these albums pretty much. I mean, there's not much left. That was a lot of variety, and a variety of all the different philosophies of Maiden, put forth. So,
yeah, very good. Oh, and I will point out, none of my songs are over 8 minutes and 40 seconds. I think Iron Maiden are the best 8-minute and 40-second song band in heavy metal. I know Butch likes the longer ones. All right, then we're going to leave it at that. I thank you all for joining us. I hope that you like and subscribe to the Contrarians. This channel has some fantastic output. Check out the Patreon situation. We would love to have you suggest some topics and show up on these panels with us. We love doing these, and we'd love to have you. So until next time, up the irons.
thanks, guys. That was fun. See you
All
later.
All right, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.